Okay, this excerpt is from The Essential Sheehan, A Lifetime of Running Wisdom from the legendary Dr. George Sheehan. This is a compilation, this book of essays by the great running writer who wrote a lot of articles and columns for Runner's World. And this one is one of the first entries. It's Chapter 1, Transformation. There's a little cartoon at the top. It says, "You are here, road to fitness," kind of cheesy. Okay, but then there's a quote under that. "Lightning may strike when you are 21 or not until you are 70. Today may be your day to leave the herd." The Running Life, 1980. I love that. Today may be your day to leave the herd. Okay, here it goes. At the age of reason, I was placed on a train, the shades drawn, my life's course and destination already determined. At the age of 45, I pulled the emergency cord and ran out into the world. It was a decision that meant no less than a new life, a new course, a new destination. I was born again in my 45th year. The previous me was not me. It was a self-image I had thrust upon myself. It was the person I had accepted myself to be, but I had been playing a role. It took me a long time to discover that the key to acting is honesty, an actor told anthropologist Edmund Carpenter. Once you know how to fake that, you've got it made. In time, we fool even ourselves. Sooner or later, however, we come to question the trip planned for us, the goals we are given, our itinerary to death. Sooner or later, the self-image becomes not worth preserving. The person we are presumed to be seems unsatisfactory and inadequate. Sooner or later, it becomes important that we feel important and have the feeling that what we are doing is important. When I stepped off that train, I had lost my sense of purpose, my faith in what I was doing, my caring for creation and its creatures. And when I stepped from that train, I found I was not alone. Millions of Americans who had been told Sunday after Sunday to be born again were now going through the shattering experience of rebirth. Only the experts didn't call it that. They call it middle-aged melancholia, or new cultural phenomenon of the fourth and fifth decade, or more simply, change of life. The authorities agree that we come upon this stage of our lives unprepared for the reality of advancing years and receding rewards. White-collar worker, blue-collar worker, housewife, and career woman, no one seems immune to the crisis that sets in after the 40s get underway. Each of us in his own way comes to this revelation and faces the problem of living according to the person we really are. This is not only inevitable, it is desirable. He who does not really feel himself lost, wrote Ortega, is lost beyond remission. He never really finds himself, never comes up against his own reality. Finding one's reality does not come without plan or effort. Being born again is no easy task. Technique and training and much hard work are needed. And we are always faced with the knowledge that is an undertaking that will never be completed. Every day will be a fresh start. Most experts suggest we make a new start in a new career, develop new interests. I say begin at the beginning. Begin with the body. The body mirrors the soul and the mind, and is more accessible than either. Become proficient at listening to your body, and you will eventually hear from your totality, the complex, unique person you are. I did it that way. I stepped off that train and began to run. And in that hour a day of perfecting my body, I began to find out who I was. I discovered that my body was a marvelous thing, and learned that any ordinary human can move in ways that have excited painters and sculptors since time began. I didn't need the scientists to tell me that man is a microcosm of the universe, that he contains the 92 elements of the cosmos in his body. In the creative action of running, I became convinced of my own importance, certain that my life had significance. Fitness may have something to do with this. The physiologists have shown us that those who remain the perpetual athlete are 2 and even 3 decades younger physically than their contemporaries. And with this comes an awareness, a physical intelligence, a sensual connection with everything around you that enlarges your existence. If decreases in the body's functions are due to non-use and not to aging, it is unreasonable to suggest that our mental and physiological and spiritual capabilities deteriorate the same way. Is it unreasonable to suggest those things? If so, our rebirth will be a long and difficult task. It will begin with the creative use of the body, in the course of which we must explore pain and exhaustion as closely as pleasure and satisfaction. It will end only when we have stretched out our minds and souls just as far. But there is an alternative. You can always get back on the train. Whew, it's powerful stuff. That train, the train that the average Joe takes is what he's saying there. That's the train he got off when he started running at 45. Now, I'm about to be 40, still 5 years before he even started his journey. I do remember when I read this book, he was a runner in college and, in his younger days, and he had that background. And it was easy-ish for him to get into it and to get fast quickly, because he sort of had that muscle memory, I guess. But speed doesn't matter, does it? Speed doesn't matter. It's about these things he's saying, to get in touch with a sensual connection with everything around you that enlarges your existence. That's what running is. It's getting out there in the dark morning, watching the stars above you, catching a glimpse of a shooting star up there, and the quiet of the mind as you pump those arms and legs and try to glide down the street. And think about your posture, and are you holding your body's form in the most efficient way? And you feel small, but at the same time large. In that I mean, you realize you're just another mammal on Earth, and you see the stars above you, and you realize you're just on another planet of billions in the galaxy and the universe. But then you also feel large. You know that because you're taking a active role, you're doing something intentionally that's for you. That it's your hobby, it's your avocation, right? It's the thing that you're doing to enrich yourself, to give your life value and worth, and it makes you feel big and special. And I want to talk more about those things, but I don't want to make these videos, these audios too long at the same time. But I'm finding that with my running and cooking now as well, reading, writing, all these things put together are giving me a really big sense of worth. And part of it has to do with growing up and finding wisdom in sobriety as well. That's something that's pretty new to me. I've dabbled in it off and on, but I haven't had any urge or any real need to drink in months and months. And it's allowing me to see my former self. And he wasn't a bad guy at all, but there was a part of him that was looking forward to Saturday night, getting all his running in throughout the week, 6 days of hard running, going to work. Those are the same, but at the end of that week he was gonna have a 6-pack or more, some store-bought junk food, and stay up late, sort of ruin his sleep. Feel groggy all day Sunday, his day off of running, not be sharp mentally. And of course, if you're not sharp physically or mentally, how are you going to be sharp spiritually? Whatever that means to you does mean something to me. So I'll end it there. Hope that if you listened this far, hope that little excerpt from Dr. George Sheehan gave you something to think about, and my comments as well.